Welcome back to Colossus Flexibility Talk, the podcast where we learn from the best of the best in HYROX, top athletes, smart strategies, and real talk about how to train harder, race faster, and keep improving. This is where we break down what it takes to perform at an elite level so you can bring that mindset into your own training. Today's guest is Liam McCroray, Pro Doubles Age Group World Champion, and he placed third in Stuttgart two weeks ago with an incredible solo pro time in 55:49. Welcome, Liam. How are you? And tell us more about yourself.
Thanks very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast. I'm Liam McCroray. Currently ranked, I think, 19th, 20th in the elite rankings, depending on results in Dublin. So I'm slowly but surely getting myself up into that kind of elite 15 category. My HYROX journey started 2 years ago to the date, 2023 in London, where I ran a 103 in the men's pro for my first race. And since then, I've dedicated all my training, my time basically to trying to get to the elite 15 or to the highest level I possibly can in HYROX. Previously, I played football. I was professional for 4 years full time, and then I went semi-pro as well. And yeah, that was my kind of background within sport. I'd always loved running, and I'd always loved functional fitness and circuit training, and I'd done a bit of CrossFit and stuff for a wee while, but I'd always balanced that around football. And in football, I was pretty much known for just being fit. And being able to run up and down the pitch all day, and I think that in itself allowed me to build a good base of fitness, a good aerobic capacity, and I done my first HYROX in 2023, and I fell in love with it. Ever since then, I've just slowly but surely chipped away at my training, chipped away at every race. And just constantly tries to improve my time, improve myself as an athlete and a coach, and just fell in love with it.
Amazing. It's nice to hear your background and everything. I've checked also, I've seen, as you said, your first race was a 1 hour 3, right? You said?
Yeah, 1 hour 3, I think, yeah.
Did you specifically prepare for this race, or you just entered and you wanted to see what level you are?
Yeah, so I'd seen HYROX. I think in 2023, that's when it kind of really took off. And I'd always wanted to try it. Like I said, I'd always loved running. I loved functional fitness, and at the time, I didn't really train for it much. I was doing football, so that was giving me a good base of running and that kind of style of running. And I was doing strength stuff on top of that, but it was more sport-specific strength, more, like based towards football, really. It was just building up that strength. And about 2 or 3 weeks before HYROX London, I did do some, short, sharp finishers, and I think I'd done one run through, but I didn't know anything about pacing or splits or anything like that. I kind of just went into it very open-minded, didn't know what I was going to get, and I think I done my first 1K in about 3 minutes. So I went out really, really, really quick. And I think I took about 8 minutes on the sled pull. So I learned a tough lesson that day, but overall, I was happy with my time. I think I came third overall. And ever since that day, I never went back to football. I actually haven't kicked a football since. I've just dedicated my time and my training, and to be honest, it was a good, I'd played football for about a long time since I'd left, since I was a 4-year-old, all the way up until I was. So I had a good 10, 11 years at a good level of football, but in a way, I kind of fell out of love with it a wee bit. And I wasn't looking for an excuse, but I'd always said I would give up football if I found something that I could compete in, and that I could, you know, really push myself and have something to train for. And ultimately, that's, you know, that was a blessing that I found HYROX, and, you know, it allows me to train the way that I love to train, but also I can compete as well. And now I'm really getting the bug for competing. So yeah, it's good.
So all your training is now turned around HYROX. Everything that you're gonna do is for the reason to compete at HYROX and to enter the elite.
Yeah, more. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would say so. And I think the good thing about that as well is that I really enjoy it. Like, I love running. I love strength training, and I love doing HYROX style works as well. So I think with football, it was a case of I was doing football training because I was, you know, still contracted to a football team and whatever else. So it became a bit of a chore as such. Whereas, like, every single day when I train, I love it, I enjoy it. So I think, you know, there's no, if I can do something I love every day and be able to compete, it's, you know,
Yeah,
that's why I feel that it's never a chore to do this form of training.
makes sense. Makes sense. If we're talking about a training week right now that you're gonna do, how does a week typically look like of your training? How many hours do you train per week? Is it more quality sessions? Is it hard sessions? Maybe you share with us a little bit of trainings.
Yeah, so over the last few weeks, my training's been a bit stop-start due to competing quite a lot. Obviously, I've been in Hamburg and Stuttgart, Maastricht, so my training has been quite, you know, I've been doing probably on average, I would, well, for example, say a typical training week for me would normally be between about 12 to 16 hours, and I still work, like, I've got a full-time job, so I work my training around that as well.
What's your job?
So,
Current?
sorry,
What job? What's your job?
I'm a prison officer. So I work in the prison in Scotland. So I work 35 hours a week. So a lot of my training is worked around that. So it's a lot of double sessions. So I train first thing in the morning at 6 till about 7:30. That's normally when I do my running session. And then after work, about 5 o'clock, I'll do strength stuff, or, you know, anything else. My second session, really. So yeah, it's long days. But yeah, just now I'm probably training about 12 to 14 hours, I would say. So I run three. I do 3 running sessions a week, covering about, I would say, 50 to 60k a week. So I'll do Monday morning. I'll do like an easy run just to, you know, just wake up in the morning and just go a run around the park. Literally got a park right beside my house. And then Monday evening I'll do upper body strength, keeping on top of that. And then normally at the end of my strength sessions I'll do some form of HYROX style work, anything that I feel like I need a weakness or I've got weakness on. But it's always in conjunction to my strength stuff. So if I'm doing upper body, it will be upper body dominant, so like sled pull, farmer's carry. So yeah, 15-20 minutes, anything that I feel that I need to work on, or anything that my coach programs me. So that's Monday. Tuesday I'll do that's when I'll do my hard quality running session, a threshold running session, normally at the track, first thing on Tuesday morning. So that could be anything, you know, 5-6 minute runs, or you know, 1k repeats, or it depends week on week, but that's normally a hard session. So it's one of those ones where I get some butterflies, you know, quite nervous going into that type of session. I have adjusted that style of training, or that particular session, though, because what I found was when I was doing these threshold sessions, I was maybe running a bit too fast. I was pushing myself a bit too much. So one thing that I have learned over, and this is just, you know, me evolving as an athlete as well, that I've learned that not every running session has to be so hard. And that is one thing that I've really picked up on, is that I was pushing myself too much. I was running too fast. My heart rate was way too fast. So now I've stripped it back. I've really just tried to run my race pace as much as I possibly can, and try to keep my heart rate at a reasonable pace. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing that I've learned since taking up running as such. I'd always done running through football, but now it's a bit more specific, like track work and all these kind of different variations of running. So yeah, that'll be my session on a Tuesday. And then on a Tuesday night, it'll normally be lower body strength stuff. So, like squats, single leg stuff, loads of different variations. And yeah, that's Tuesday. Wednesday, I'll normally be, it depends. Sometimes I'll do some zone 2 stuff, whether it's on the ergs or bike. But normally it's just a good sweat, an hour and a half, just moving. And then Thursday I'll do thresholds, but I'll do it on the ergs. So I'll do row ski or assault bike, some form of session that way on a Tuesday morning. And then a Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday night I'll do upper body again. Again, so obviously different session to Monday morning. Again, I'll do any sort of weakness that I feel I have in HYROX as well, upper body wise. So yeah, that takes care of Thursday. And then Friday, I'll be back at the track, or I'll do some form of running session again. Normally it's speed. I try and keep on top of my speed work. I quite enjoy doing speed sessions. They're tough. And I feel that's probably when I will run faster than I'm meant to. That's probably when my heart rate goes a bit higher, and I like to push myself. But again, the volume's quite low, so I'll make that up either side with some easy running zone 2, just to bump my volume a wee bit up for the week. And then Friday evening or afternoon, I'll do another lower body type session, but it's normally a bit more plyometric, a bit more athletic style session as such. Just really try to keep on top of that. And then Saturday will be a game day, which my coach calls it, or a HYROX session, basically, where I'm working on any form of like simulation or weakness work or anything, that includes basically compromise running with like some sleds and stuff. So yeah, and then Sunday's a day off. So yeah, that's my training week.
Definitely, the prison inmates have a hard time if they run away from you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've worked in the prison for about 8 years now, and yeah, I can honestly say I love it. It's a great job. You meet some good people, some crazy people, but yeah, it's a really fulfilling job, and I really feel that since I've started doing HYROX, it's a great way to bond with people and help and encourage people to, when they get out of prison or when they're in prison, to take up the sport, or not so much maybe not the sport as such, but even just get involved in training, because the benefits of training mentally, physically are they're so important. And I feel that certainly for me it helps. Everyday training just helps with your head and your overall mood. So that's one thing I always try and encourage the guys to do in the prison, is to train. So
you have some HYROX sessions with the guys in the prison sometime, or is it
not so much, no, because I don't actually work in the gym in the prison. But hopefully in the future it's certainly something that we would definitely like to do. There has been talk of it, and I think it'd be great. It would be great. I know that a lot of prisons do, in the UK we do park runs, so every Saturday there's a 5k park run. So I know that prisons do that on a Saturday morning. So if we could maybe once a week or once a month do a HYROX, it would be good for the guys, because a lot of the guys don't quite understand what it is I do. I think a lot of them think I'm a rock climber. They think that HYROX is rock climbing, so I just sometimes just go along with it.
funny? Yeah, fingers crossed for this. I wanted to enter a little bit more into your training things.
Yeah.
You spoke about that you were doing also too hard stuff and things like that. When you talk about threshold sessions and when you talk about speed sessions, how far from each other are they? Are your speed sessions really, really, really fast? Or is it maybe 10, 15 seconds faster than your threshold that you do your speed sessions at?
Yeah, I would probably say the speed sessions are normally not overly fast, but I would say probably, about 20, 30 seconds quicker than I would run at threshold. Again, I'm still learning. I'm still learning about my body, about training, particularly running. And I think a lot of people have got their own opinion on how you should train with running, I think. So, like, for example, I don't really do any long runs, like 60-minute plus. I would rather do it on the bike. But when I first started running, I went out 90-minute runs and I was sore for days. So I would say that that's something that I've learned. Again, I think I touched on it with the threshold. I was running way too fast on my thresholds, so I was running way above my race pace. So now I try and stay, when my thresholds, I probably try and stay at race pace or just more or less in that area of race pace, maybe 2 or 3 seconds quicker or slower, depending on how I'm feeling. But I would certainly say there is a difference between my thresholds and my speed. My speed probably being, you're right, about 10, 20 seconds quicker. Depends on the distance as well, if it's 200s or 400s. Before I was doing 400s just flat out, like literally just as fast as I could go. But again, as I get a bit more smarter around my training and stuff and learn a lot more things, then that speed certainly came down a wee bit.
Yeah, it makes totally sense. I have talked already to many other HYROX elite athletes, and they have similar approaches like you.
Yeah.
So everyone is learning constantly. So that's why we're also doing this here, to learn from each other. And I think this is great.
Yeah, exactly. And it's good to listen to other guys as well, to see how they train. Everybody's different. I think that everybody adapts to different styles of training as well. And I think it's important to look at the bigger picture as well, and what we get. Like, for example, for me, I'm limited to the hours that I can do a week because I've got a job. So I maybe miss out on quite a lot of easy work that I could maybe be doing to bump up my training volume. But again, that would mean that I wouldn't have literally any spare time. So sometimes you just need to wait up and look at the bigger picture. It's good to listen to other guys and see their thoughts around it. But the sport's so growing every year as well, and there's new athletes coming in from different backgrounds. So I think that it's interesting to hear different people's opinions as well.
At what pace you're running your thresholds?
So before, probably about 3:10, 3:09, but now I would say about 3:25, 3:23. Yeah, so again, that keeps my heart rate at a really good, threshold. I don't really touch into like my zone 5 or anything like that at that pace. I feel good, and I can accumulate a bit more volume through that speed as well, and it's a bit more enjoyable to be honest. When I was doing thresholds at crazy speeds, every session I would dread going into it, but now I actually enjoy running at that speed. And I would probably say that's more or less my race pace, give or take, depending on rock zones and whatever else. So I would say that that's probably a good. Again, sometimes if I'm doing like 4-minute thresholds, it might be a bit quicker. If I'm doing 6 or 8-minute threshold runs or whatever, it's maybe a wee bit slower. So within that range, probably about 3:20 to 3:25, I would say.
All right, it's interesting to hear. I have also checked, your burpee time is very fast. I talked about this with Sean Noble.
Yeah.
And he told me that the burpees are crazily fast. What are your secret burpees? Share them.
Well, I've actually been giving Sean some tips. So to be honest, I don't actually know. I do a lot of plyometric like work before my strength sessions. a lot of broad jumps, standing broad jumps, over speed sort of stuff as well with bands and kettlebells. But again, I think the volume on that is quite low, but it's quite intense at the same time. So I always maybe do 3 or 4 sets of whatever sort of plyometric exercise before I do my strength stuff. So I'll do plyometric, strength, accessory, conditioning. So I think maybe just the accumulation, like I've been doing that for a long time, a good 5, 6 years of, you know, good plyometrics, good technique, good rest in between. So I think consistency with that style of training has really helped. And I've always trained more like an athlete as opposed to just trying to hammer myself all the time or you know, do too much work. So I've always been involved in strength conditioning, and when I was full time, we were at a university doing, you know, working with sports scientists and stuff. So I think my background through football and sport has really helped me understand what's good and what's, you know, what you probably shouldn't be doing. So I think with the burpees, it's certainly an accumulation of good plyometrics, good technique, and not trying to go too quick. So I think in probably the way I split my burpees as well, I've started using the knee up technique. So that helps because that lets me get some energy back. So what I do is I'll go into the burpees and I'll do maybe 6 reps of the step up technique, and then I'll change to maybe 3 reps of the knee up technique just to allow myself to get a bit more recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll do another 5 or 6 reps of the step up technique again. And then hopefully by that time I'm a bit close to the end. And then 2 or 3 reps before my next run, I'll then knee up so I can get a good bit of speed back into my run. So yeah, just split it up that way, which I think helps. It allows me to generate a bit more force on the jump going forward. I seem to think that that's where I can gain some time. Is it's not the initial getting up from the floor to the top. It's more from the top to the actual jump. And I feel that, you know, if I can get an extra 20 centimeters or whatever it is over the guy I'm racing beside, then over the length of the burpee distance, that'll hopefully accumulate to me being a bit quicker over the course of the burpees.
When we're talking about plyometrics before the strength sessions, every time you're having a lower body session, you implement that before, or also upper body?
Always before lower body, and also before my running sessions. So before my running sessions, I'll do maybe 5 or 6 plyometric exercises, pogos, single leg pogos, standing broad jumps, you know, some sprints as well. They're pretty plyometric. So that'll over the week that'll probably accumulate to a good bit of volume within the, you know, plyometric training really. So yeah, ultimately before upper body sessions, I will do some plyometrics, but it's normally upper body. So plyometric push-ups, medicine ball slams, you know, something that's going to benefit my upper body session, gets you primed. And then before a race as well, I'll always make sure that I'm trying to do my pogos, single leg pogos, just to really create stiffness in my tendons. I think that's, yeah, it seems to work for me, to be honest. But yeah, if I can pace myself through the ski erg into the sled, push and pull, and then come into the burpees, still feeling quit good. I think in Maastricht I think I went 12th place in Maastricht coming into the burpees, and I came out 3rd. And then in Stuttgart, I think I was 10th, and I came out 3rd or 4th as well. So yeah, I'm confident when I go into the burpees that I will, you know, gain a few places. And I feel that my run after the burpees as well, I can maintain a good pace because I've scaled back slightly on the 2 or 3 burpees before the run. and I'm able to generate a bit more pace coming into that. So yeah, I certainly feel that the second half of my race is a lot stronger after the burpees.
How many minutes is that more or less before a strength session that you have that plyometrics? If we can talk about minutes.
Yeah, so the way that I've structured my strength sessions for lower body would be I would do like a ramp warm up, so raise the heart rate, activate, mobilize, and then potentiate. So that's the way that I like to structure my warm ups, and then I'll then go into maybe 2 sets of 5 broad jumps, for example, with like 45 to 60 seconds rest in between, and then maybe probably another set of some form of exercise, whether that's double broad jumps, triple broad jumps, just some other form of plyometric exercise, again with 60 seconds rest in between each rep, each set, and then I'll then rest for 2 minutes, and then that's when I'll start my strength. So yeah, probably like warm up, 4 minutes rest, into the plyometric stuff, again with like 2 minutes rest in between each set, and then maybe another 2 or 3 minutes rest, and then I'll do my strength components. So yeah, obviously I don't want to be in the gym for too long, but I always like to make sure that I've got a lot of rest in between sets, really, to be honest, just so I'm getting good quality over quantity.
So 10-15 minutes plyometrics, would you say, before?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. But again, I'm maybe doing over that in that 10 minutes, I'm maybe doing 3 sets of one exercise and 3 sets of another exercise. So yeah, it's not a lot. I wouldn't say it's over the top volume, but it's still enough to get me firing, just keep my fast twitch fibers going, and like I said, strengthening my tendons. And yeah, I always feel good. I feel good doing that, and then going into my strength stuff.
Very interesting, this part.
Yeah.
My next question, probably answered it already, but what's then your favorite HYROX station? Burpees, I suppose.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah. Burpees, or to be honest, the sled pull has been an exercise that personally I don't enjoy, but like what I think I mentioned at my first race, I think my sled pull time was crazy slow, like 8 minutes or something like that. So I think I really enjoy the sled pull now because I've seen the progress of, my good training. So going from 8 minutes to 3 minutes or 3 minutes 30, whatever it is now. So I think that's an exercise that I really enjoy, and I really enjoy training that exercise, the sled pull. But sometimes when you go into that, you never really know what you're going to get with the sled pull. That's the only thing. But yeah, like the progress I've seen on that through training properly with it and overloading the sled and just doing different variations is really good, because I've seen that if you train properly and you work on it, you can get better at it. So now, as opposed to me feeling, dreading the sled pull and not looking forward to it, I actually feel, coming into the sled pull now, I'm quite confident about it, and yeah, I quite enjoy it. It's just more my feet. I need to get better at my feet with the line. I'm always getting warnings.
And what's the station that you hate the most?
That changes. The ski erg, I don't like the ski erg at all. I feel that before it was good because I could just pace the ski erg and go nice and slow on it. But now, the higher up the level you're getting, you now actually have to use the ski erg as, you have to hammer it really. I see some guys that are, Tim Weenich, Hunter, they're pulling, 145, 143 for 1,000 meters. And to do that over 1,000 meters is, it's not easy. So for me, yeah, that's the one exercise that I do personally struggle with. I find that it takes my breath away really quickly. But again, I'll keep training at it, and I have improved my ski erg. I feel that I've managed to get my splits down and my average pace. I've managed to bring that down a wee bit as well. So yeah, that's one exercise that I don't particularly like. And wall balls, I think Barcelona, a last chance qualifier. I got I think it was 28, 29 no reps on the wall balls. One for not hitting the target, which was a big one. And there was a few for my depth, but yeah, I don't know if I just didn't get a good judge that day, to be honest, because my depth's always been fine on the wall balls. It just seems to be on that day in particular, but that's always stayed at the back of my head that that could happen any time, that I could just keep getting no rep and no rep and no rep. And yeah, I've still not went unbroken on the wall balls. That's one thing that I want to try and do this season is go unbroken. So yeah, it's before I couldn't go unbroken on the farmer's carry as well, whereas now I've trained it enough that I'm quite confident I can go unbroken on the farmer's carry. So hopefully it's just a matter of time before I can go unbroken on the wall balls. So I take my hat off to anybody that can, because saying you're going to go unbroken and actually doing it is two different stories, because it's tough. So anybody that can do that is, big respect to them.
Definitely. When it comes to the race, do you have any particular strategy that you race, or you try to stick to the guys, or you follow your own strategy and you stick to your plan, or you panic in between and you see, oh, I'm only at the spot 15, now I should react, or you execute from the beginning to the end your strategy?
Yeah, so I think again this is something that I've implemented just this season, is actually a strategy. Before, even last season, I would literally just go and try and just go as hard as I could. And that was probably the reason why sometimes I would struggle at the sled pull, I would struggle at the farmer's carry and whatever else. So over the summer, I looked at race strategies, and I listened to loads of podcasts, done a lot of research into strategies, because I didn't quite understand people's strategies and how they were pacing it and all these different elements to it. So now, I have a strategy as such, but luckily for me, I feel that over the last 3 or 4 races, I've actually been in a race as such, as opposed to just myself. So in Maastricht, I was racing against Sean Noble. Me and Sean were pretty much head to head throughout the last half of the race, and that really pushed me on, because I'm racing a guy. Same with Stuttgart, I felt like I was in a race there. I was head to head again in the second half of the race, not with Sean, with Pablo, the Spanish guy. Me and him were head to head throughout the full race. So I feel like I perform better now when I'm in a strong. I think HYROX have done a good thing by looking at people's times and stuff and putting them all in the first wave, because ultimately it's more now of a race as opposed to different times. So if you're in that first wave, that you're going to be racing against guys that are going to hopefully be chasing good times to try and get into the elite. So ultimately I feel that I now perform a lot better when I'm in a race, as opposed to trying to really stick to my own strategy. I feel that if I can see a guy in front of me that's pushing and I can try and hunt him down and get close to him, and that ultimately gives you an extra 10-20 seconds, I think, anyway. So yeah, I certainly prefer being in a race as opposed to trying to stick to my times and whatever else. But again, that's just me. I know a lot of guys they like to just stick to their race plan. And I feel that probably, maybe it's something that I should do, but I certainly enjoy that element of being in a race and competing against people.
Interesting, super interesting, this one. You're also competing in doubles. You're age group world champion, 225.
Yeah.
What would you say is the biggest difference competing in doubles and solos, and which one do you prefer more, the doubles or the solo?
So I would say that I prefer the singles, because I feel like it's not as hard. I find doubles tough. When talking about threshold session, speed session, me personally, I would say that singles is probably your threshold, and your doubles is speed. It's all out. it's hard, because you're with a partner, and like I do enjoy it, but I do find it tough. Whereas with the singles, you can maybe pace it a bit more. You can be a bit more cautious with yourself. Whereas with the doubles, you're not wanting to, you're not really want to let your partner down, and you're always trying to push and encourage each other to really just push on. So there is an element to it that I don't particularly get nervous going into doubles, because I know that I've got a partner beside me and we can push each other through. So I do enjoy that side of it. But in terms of the actual workout, I would say doubles is harder, certainly. But again, like doing in Chicago when we won the under 30 world title, it was one of the best moments I've had in sport. Because we really had to push hard. It was getting really tough towards the kind of second half of the race, and just when you cross the line and you get a good time, and you're obviously world champion at your age group, it's an amazing feeling. So, but both elements to it, I really do enjoy singles and enjoy doubles as well. So, it's just a case of doubles being that bit harder, I would say.
When you're racing doubles, maybe we can enter a little bit, not too much detail, but in a strategy wise in the doubles.
Mm-hmm.
Because I heard different strategies. Some people do on the ski erg 8 times 125, some do 4 times 250. How do you approach the ski erg? How do you approach the rower as a double?
So on the ski erg, my doubles partner Danny, he's very strong. He's really good on the sleds, really good on the ski erg and stuff. So we'll split the ski erg 125 each, and then on the kind of on the first initial pull, Danny will pull, I think it's 200, and then I'll pull 200, and then we split it after that, 125 or 150s, whatever it is. So yeah, that's the way we do it. I know there is different strategies you can do, but that seems to be the strategy that we've came up with, which is the best for us. Again, I think before as well, we were maybe pulling the ski erg too hard, too fast. And certainly on the run after the ski erg, we lost a wee bit of time, ultimately by just going too fast on the ski erg. So now we try and keep it, or we still go hard, but towards the end of the last two splits, we'll maybe scale it back to 137, 138. Try and keep it below 140, but not over the top, so not like your 130s or 131s, whatever it is. And certainly we found that ultimately lets us run a wee bit faster, and we feel a bit more fresher going into that second run. Because you probably know yourself that when you pull too hard in the ski erg, it can really take your breath away. And I believe that the doubles is certainly a running race. I think the level that certainly we experienced in Hamburg as well is that everyone's more or less the same on the stations. It's really the running that that takes over, and that's certainly where you can gain places. And for the rower as well, we do 250s each split. And certainly in Hamburg, I'm probably the stronger runner out of the two of us, so I always start and finish the stations. Apart from the sled pull, Danny will come in and he'll start the sled pull because that's his strong point. He's really good at the sled pull and the push. And yeah, I seem to finish those stations, and we can allows Danny to get a bit more energy back for the running.
So you're doing 250s on the rower. You're not losing too much time, because I know some people try to switch maybe once or twice only.
Yeah, so we have changed it a bit up in the past. We did do 250s. We have done 300s each. I think we're still just trying to really nail the strategy, which is best. Yeah, you're right. The rower can take time for changing and whatever else. So I think if you can nail the change in between, then it'll certainly help. But yeah, we've done 250s. We've done 350s. We've raced 4 or 5 times together, so we have changed it a couple of times here and there. But we certainly find that maybe I think it's 300s is probably the best way for us to go.
I heard different strategies already. Some people do 250, 500, and 250, or they split 500, 500. But that's also then very hard for the person that to catch on that.
Yeah, certainly. I think there's certainly like really good strategies there, but again, it depends on how you can run. I believe anyway. If you're strong, if you've got enough energy to run your paces on the runs, then the more that you change on the ergs and stuff like that might not make a massive difference.
Yeah, this is a very interesting topic. The changes about the ski, about the row. I think that as more people specialize into this, then there will be other strategies probably appearing and coming. So we're looking forward to this.
Yeah. I certainly think over the next few years there will be athletes that will be just dedicated to doubles, and guys that are just dedicated to singles. In my opinion, anyway, I think because the level of the doubles is so intense, and like I said, the running is so fast. I think there'll be guys that will just dedicate their training and just specialise only in doubles now because there's an Elite 15 doubles. So yeah, some guys might just dedicate their training to that. Hopefully I can jump in between because I do enjoy doubles and I do enjoy singles. But time will tell, I suppose.
We're talking about runs before and paces. Did you check your current 5K, 10K half marathon times?
So the last time I done a 10K, I think I done it in 32.5 minutes, 32:15, I think.
Perfect.
But again, that was when was that? I done that. It was like last Christmas or something. So about a year ago. So I've not actually tested my 10K in a while. But yeah, I think it's about 32 minutes or something. And then for my 5K, I think the last time I tested my 5K was 15 minutes and 48 seconds was my last 5K attempt. Again, not tested that in I think about 6 to 8 months. And my half marathon, I've never actually done a half marathon, so that is something that I want to do.
Actually, there's
I've covered that.
Sorry, yeah, go.
Sorry, I've covered half marathon distance, but in terms of a race or anything like that, I've never actually done one. So it's certainly something that I want to do. And again, I'd love to do a marathon as well. I'd like to do that, but again, my focus has just been on HYROX for the last year. So
I actually have an interesting question with a thought of mine. Do you think that your 10K time is faster or the same or even a little bit slower now because you're training more at the threshold level to be ready to compete in HYROX and you're not so much entering into the speed? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I would probably say, yeah, my 10K time probably is a bit slower, probably. But I have put on 3 kilo of muscle or 3 kilo in weight really. Again, to combat. So when I first started HYROX, I think I weighed about 75 kilograms 2 years ago. Now I sit about 81 kilograms, give or take. So whether that's made an impact on my running or not, I'm not too sure. Well, my 10K time, sorry. So when I probably tested my last 10K, I was maybe about 78 kilograms or whatever. But over the summer, I felt that I needed to put on a bit of weight because I've just felt I was a bit light. So it's not really affected any of my running splits in terms of my race pace or my thresholds. My burpees have got better or improved. And ultimately my sled push and my sled pull and probably my ski erg and my row have improved as well. So I think, on reflection, if my 10K times maybe came down a wee bit, but my HYROX performance or whatever has improved, then I think that's maybe a bit better. But yeah, I'd certainly say that my 10k time has certainly came down slightly the more that I have been training a wee bit slower as such in my threshold sessions. So yeah, it's kind of just balancing it up really, I suppose.
Yeah, that's something I think to observe or to see if because the tolerance then of the threshold in that moment goes much higher, but maybe the speed is then not there anymore to get fast on the 10k. Really interesting. I will also ask that couple.
Yeah.
Well, we'll ask that also future people have on the podcast their thoughts or their learnings on this. When you have strength sessions, talking about strength, deadlift, squats, bench, shoulder press,
Mm-hmm.
numbers.
So I would say so I haven't really tested my 1 rep max. I don't really feel as if there's been a time where I've been able to test it. The off season was quite short for me. I was in Chicago and I was on holiday, and then again I raced like September time. So yeah, I didn't really have a lot of time to test like 1 rep max and stuff like that. I just wanted to get back into training. So I think like 3 rep max or is probably the highest I went, or the lowest rep, highest weight I've went in a while on the trap bar deadlift. I would say I'm about 170-ish for 3. My favourite exercise is the trap bar deadlift. I really enjoy that one. Back squat for 3 reps, probably about 140, 145. I bench press, not the best. I would say maybe for me, 3 reps, about 85, 90 kilograms. Shoulder press for 6 reps, for dumbbells anyway, I would say I could do 27 and a half each side. Yeah, so I think my strength could probably improve, but I feel that when I'm strength training, I don't feel overly sore after it, and I think that's quite important. So I've not got DOMs for 3 or 4 days. I feel quite good, going into my session, whether it's in the afternoon or the next again day. So yeah, I certainly think numbers wise probably could get better, but I feel with the running that I can do and the strength that I've got, I feel as if I've got a good balance just now.
Yeah. When it comes to recovery, you said recovery and things like this. How long do you need to recover from a hard race, like a doubles or a solo? Is there different recovery times, or it depends?
Yeah, it's quite strange because there's been races where I've pushed really hard and like came second, third, or whatever, and the next again day I feel good, and then on the Monday I'm back running, no DOMs, nothing, and then maybe other races I feel like sore for days, which I find strange. Obviously, there's a period after the race that's quite important. So I always try and have like chocolate milk after a race. I try and get food in me within 2 or 3 hours after a race. So one thing I did notice was when I was in Maastricht, the podium time changed from, it was meant to be at 10:30, but it ended up getting changed to like 11:30, or there was a good bit of time in between. So that opportunity for me to refuel, I didn't actually get any food or didn't have much. I just had water and maybe like some Red Bull or electrolytes, whatever it was, after the race. I couldn't actually get anything in me. So after Maastricht, I was sore for like 4 days. So I'm not too sure if that's got anything to do with it. I did race doubles the day before as well, which probably didn't help. But I am very much like now. I'm very much, if as soon as I race, I do try and get some form of electrolyte or chocolate milk or anything like that in my system, just to kickstart the recovery process, and then try and get within maybe an hour or 2 hours some form of food. And certainly that seems to help. And then the day after a race, it's normally a travel day anyway, so I don't actually get the chance to do anything, but I just I take that off completely. I don't do any form of like recovery run or anything like that. I just try and stay off my feet and try and relax as much as I can. And then there has been times where I've maybe got a race coming up again in maybe 10 days or 2 weeks. So back on the Monday, I have done track sessions and maybe went to an easy run or whatever straight back into it on the Monday. But I do like to try and get moving in some description after, 2 days after a race. I think that's quite important.
When it comes to a race, you have a real taper week, or how does this look like for you?
Yeah, so it's something again. Graham Halliday, our like 15 Scottish athlete, good friends with Graham. So we spoke about this after Barcelona. He raced in Barcelona, and in the morning of Barcelona, done thresholds on the treadmill, and he said he felt good, and it made him think all about a taper week and how he was going to really taper going into races. For me, for my body personally, I'm used to volume. I like training in the morning, in the afternoon, Monday, Tuesday. So if I'm racing on a Saturday, on the Monday, Tuesday, I'll pretty much train as normal, to be honest. Volume comes down, but intensity will still stay high. So that'll maybe be reducing overall sets, or maybe, for example, if I do 4 sets of something, I'll maybe just do 2. But yeah, certainly like Monday, Tuesday, I like to train pretty much just as normal. And then on the Wednesday, that's when I'll probably start the taper. So if I'm racing Saturday, I'll probably start a taper as of like Wednesday. So I'll do like some form of like race HYROX session, but again, low intensity but higher volume. And then the Thursday before the race, I'll have that as like a complete rest day, but with an emphasis on recovery that day. So I'll do like hot and cold therapy, sauna, ice bath, and then I've got a sports masseuse, so I'll get a good rub off him. And then, I'll just really try and focus on, that's when I'll start loading up on my beetroot shots, emphasis on carbohydrates. And then the Friday before the race, or the day before the race, I do a primer session, which includes some, again, plyometrics, just mentally getting me ready for the race. And then Saturday will be race day. So, that's pretty much what my taper week looks like. It's nothing, there is, like I said, I love training, I like volume, I like routine. So I pretty much just try and keep my routine more or less the same. I don't change anything too drastically. The sessions might look slightly different, less volume, less overall working sets. And again, I won't put in heavy back squats. It will be, not a lot of eccentric loading and stuff. So it will be more power and that kind of thing, as opposed to overall strength. But ultimately, it doesn't really change. My structure of the week doesn't change drastically, to be honest.
Yeah, I heard some different approaches also on this one. I've spoken to Sean in the podcast before, and he actually did a VO2 max session before his race, and it helped him because he does like a reverse taper week now, because at one race he arrived and he felt tired because he did too much rest before, while the other time he did a hard session before, and the next day it was like a training session. His body was used to the intensity directly. It's a very interesting topic.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the actual science in a few years' time, if there is studies and stuff that come out of it, because like training, everyone's just trying to find a routine that suits themselves. I know a lot of guys do shakeout runs the day of the race. Personally, for me, I don't. I like to just try and maybe go walk or whatever, but I'll treat race day as race day. I'll give the race all the respect. Like, I don't try and do any extra volume before the race on the day itself. Even if I am racing at like 8:30 at night, mentally it's a long, tough, boring day. To try and prepare properly for an 8:00, 8:30 start. But I think the day before the race, again, like, I like to train, I like to get a bit of intensity, a bit of a sweat up. And I feel that really helps with like getting extra carbohydrates into the system as well. If I train first thing, and like I'll have breakfast on the day before race, so I can get a good high carbohydrate meal in there. But carbohydrate loading, but I see that as fuel for my session. So I'll then go into my session, my primer session, get a bit of intensity, get a bit of a sweat up, and then I can then have another high carbohydrate meal to really help with the carbohydrate loading. But again, in my head, I'll see that as recovering from the session, and then that just allows my food and my fuel and my routine to be the same, really, and nothing changes. I think going into a race, I feel there has been times where I felt tired, but I think it's more mental fatigue, burning nervous energy because I've not been training as much. I'm thinking about the race. I'm thinking about what I'm eating a bit more, and I think sometimes training can be a bit of a mental escape for some people. You know what I mean? So I think that in a way as well certainly helps. So yeah, I don't like to. I mean, if I was going to the World Championships or whatever, it was a massive race, then I would maybe look at my taper week or the weeks leading up to that race in particular. But just now, I felt like last season I didn't really race as much as I probably should have. So just now I'm trying to race a bit more this season. So ultimately that'll maybe take a bit of an effect on my training, my recovery. So again, I think that tapers are, if you can taper within 2 or 3 days of your race, you're obviously getting a wee bit more training in as opposed to taking a full week's taper.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any specific race fueling strategy during the race? You taking anything or?
Personally, no, I don't. I've suffered from IBS, so my stomach's quite sensitive to certain foods. Certainly gels in the past have never really sat well with me. That's one of the reasons why I actually haven't done a half marathon, because it's just the maybe just need the toilet. So yeah, I would certainly like to try or trial a gel or some form of fuel mid-race just to see how I would maybe feel. But again, I would need to trial that in training. But yeah, during the race I don't have much. Before the race though, yeah, I do have a specific routine I like to do. I take beetroot shots, so I take them before the race, and then probably about 3 to 4 hours I'll take bicarbonate soda. I'll take that, and yeah, I just try and load up with electrolytes and other the kind of fuel, your typical fuel, high carbs, loads of fast acting, easy digestible foods. There's nothing. And before the race, I'll have my protein it's like energy, it's like sweets basically. It's like energy sweeties. I have 2 or 3 of them before the race. They sit really well with me. So during my next race, I'll maybe try a couple of these sweets or gels, just to see how my stomach reacts to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it, to be honest. And then post race, it's always chocolate milk, banana, and then after that, I try and get a pizza, a good feed down.
How often in training do you use carbon shoes?
Another good question, because as we are like chatting just now, I'm actually injured. I've strained a tendon in my foot, so I was meant to be racing in Dublin tomorrow or Saturday this weekend, and unfortunately last Friday at the track, I felt a kind of numb pain within my foot. Went and seen physio, this and that, and I've strained a tendon in my foot, so I've not actually ran for a week, or well, coming up 11 days now. So I've been on the bike and stuff. But we were having a discussion around that, and yeah, at the track I'll wear my carbon plated shoes, and during my speed sessions I'll wear my carbon plated shoes, and then when I was doing my HYROX style training, I would wear my carbon plated shoes. The only time I didn't wear them was during my easy runs. I'll wear non-carbon plated shoes. So maybe that was the reason why I was maybe running too fast at the track. So me and the physio were having a discussion. So I've now bought a pair of shoes that aren't carbon plated for my track sessions, just to see how my body reacts to it. I know there is like some science to say that you probably shouldn't wear your carbon plated shoes all the time. So it should only really be race day or like hard sessions. So I'm going to trial not wearing carbon plated shoes at my track sessions just to see how my body reacts. And he came up with a good he came up with a good point that if you can earn the right to run at a certain pace wearing non-carbon plated shoes in training, and then you wear your carbon plated shoes during race day, your race pace should feel a bit faster, a bit easier. You'll be able to push a bit better with that extra support of the shoe. Obviously, you need to kind of like get used to the shoe and have it settled in a wee bit. But I think that was quite a good point that he made, that if you're doing your track sessions, your hard sessions in non-carbon plated shoes, and then you go to race day and wear your carbon plated shoes, the performance, the benefit you might get might be that difference, say like 20, 30 seconds or whatever. So it's a good point that it's stuck in my head, and it's something that I'm probably going to trial just to see how my body reacts. Because now that I'm got a bit of an injury, I'm now very much looking at, right, so how did this happen? How can I prevent this from happening again? And if that's from wearing carbon plated, then I'll certainly not wear them in training. But I certainly feel that wearing them in race day has certainly made a massive difference to my performance.
Yeah, and also in the past, similar problems. I was wearing carbon shoes too often, and I had Achilles problems.
Well,
And
yeah.
I changed the shoes then more often, and also the surface I was running, and then it got better. So, but running with the
There you
carbon
go.
too often is problematic a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah, that's it. So I'll trial to see how my body reacts and how my injury plays over the next few weeks, and I'll decide if I'm wearing carbon plates at the track or not again.
Your next race would have been Dublin, but obviously you can't. Is there any other future race planned in case everything goes well?
Yeah, so again, I'm trying to race a bit more this season, so I had hoped to run in Dublin and potentially get into the Melbourne major. That was one of my goals, to be honest. But I think longer term, looking at my injury and just appreciating being able to get up every day and go a run and train, the way I'm used to training, I think it was probably best if I just sat Dublin out and just focused on recovery and didn't push it too much. I probably could have raced, to be honest. But I didn't want to do any more longer term damage. I think for me, I love running. I love being able to train. So I didn't want to race and then set myself back a bit more. So I just felt that it was probably the best decision just to sit Dublin out. Whether or not I get a roll down for Melbourne, I'm not too sure, but I can't see it. But yeah, I think I'm not too sure where me and Danny sit with the doubles for Melbourne. So if we qualify for that, I'm not too sure if we'll need to have a discussion whether we're going to make that long trip across the 24-hour flight over to Melbourne. But if I don't, so if Melbourne's off the cards, my aim would be to try and hopefully get into the Phoenix Major, which is at the end of January. So I think I'm going to race potentially in London. Well, I can't remember when that is. I think it's maybe start of December. And I've looked at Frankfurt as well. And I've looked at another race, Stockholm. I think Stockholm or Poznan. So I'm going to try and get maybe 2 or 3 races in before Christmas. Just to try and bring my average down a wee bit more as well, just to see where I am in terms of rankings and stuff. So I think before I was a wee bit cautious about racing. I used to get really nervous, being honest, before racing. But I think now, certainly through my last couple of races, I've literally loved every second of it. It's tough, but just being able to race, being in like I said that previously about being in an actual race it's been I just found a new love for the sport, and I just every race I'm going into now, I'm excited, and I'm quite I'm quite anticipating to see what's going to happen at the end of the race, just to see how my training's improving, how I'm getting better. So yeah, like just now I'm looking at races and I'm getting really excited for it as opposed to getting nervous. And talking about Sean Noble, me and him had a good discussion, and we're talking. It was before Maastricht, and he says to me, he was like, have a bad race, like, who cares? You know what I mean? Everyone knows what everyone's capable of on their good day. I think we've all raced enough to kind of say to ourselves that we're, you know, on a good day we could run any crazy time, but if you have a bad race, you have a bad race. Just who cares? You know what I mean? No one will remember it in 6 weeks or whatever. So just don't think about it too much, and just look at, you know, just try and enjoy it, and look at, you know, the improvements that you can make week in, week out. And that's something that's stuck in my head, because now I'm just like, well, if I don't get the time I want, it's been a good training stimulus. Don't overthink it, and just get back to the drawing board. And I think your time will come eventually if you stick at it and you want something enough. Then ultimately you'll get there in the end.
Yeah, I like that mindset, never giving up and pushing all the way through. And I mean, everyone, it's not always that we have good days, we have also bad days, but I think that to continue and not to give up at the end is the solution, and to push for something, no matter in the
Yeah,
sport.
that's it. I think it's important not to put too much pressure on yourself as well. I think
Yeah.
certainly for me, like last year, I was putting so much pressure on myself for nothing. Just literally putting too much pressure on myself to run a certain time. But now I feel the more relaxed I am and the more I enjoy the occasion, then the more my performance has went through a different level. So I think mentally as well, it's certainly a game of mental toughness sometimes.
I think it's very interesting, the major or the world championships, because basically anyone could win it, as everyone is similar. As you said, that if someone has a good day or a bad day, you might have a surprise that somebody else is the winner at the end. This is what makes it super
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, it's great. Like I said, I found a new love for the sport this season certainly. And yeah, it's so refreshing every time that you come and race and you can see improvements being made, that your training's going well, and that you're doing the right things. So yeah, I just gutted I can't race this weekend.
I wanted to ask you one more question. What is your biggest advice to people that do HYROX and they want to go sub 60, and they are, let's say, on the 70, 68, 66 minute mark in pro? They want to go sub 60. What is your biggest advice for them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think certainly if it's all about identifying, I would say, your weakness first. So where is it in the race that you're finding that you're losing time, whether that's wall balls, burpees, running as a whole. Try and identify that weakness first, and then say, for example, it's running. Just look at your splits, look at your training, look at your volume throughout. Look at your program for running. Are you running enough? Are you running too much? And I think just being able to look at that and try and see where you can make improvements certainly would help. I think people get caught that they've not ran, or they're in that certain time frame that they want to get quicker, so they try and just do too much at once, I would say. So trying, if you feel that it's maybe the sleds or the strength or station element to it that's holding you back, because certainly for me that's what was holding me back. I kind of sacrificed my running a wee bit and focused on that side of training a bit more. And that certainly my stations went up, my burpees went up, my sled pull went up. And then obviously I was still running at the same level, but I just felt I pushed up my station work a little bit more, and that certainly helped. Like my farmer's carry used to be like 2 minutes 30. I managed to get a minute off that, but just training grip, extra farmer's carry work, just doing very different variations to that. And yeah, it's just being consistent. Not everyone can jump from 70 minutes to sub 60. It's if you look at my times, I went for a 103, and every time I've kind of more or less managed to chip off time here and there. So I think it's probably just staying consistent, trusting your training, and not overtraining as well. I think a lot of people, especially HYROX, because there's so many elements to HYROX, like running, station work, strength, all that kind of stuff. It's easy to overtrain. And I think, if some people look at maybe just focusing on the recovery, looking at investing a bit of maybe an hour extra in maybe an ice bath or a sauna, or doing wee bits of extra recovery work in the long term might actually help. But everyone's different. Obviously, everyone reacts different to different training styles, different programs as well. So to really put my finger on it, but it is difficult. But what I would say is certainly just identifying your weaknesses, looking at where you can get better, and just staying consistent with it, really.
Good advice. Nice advice at the end to give to people, because I think also that personally, also myself, to improve in too many areas at the same time is not possible. It's just doesn't make sense just to
Yeah,
one time and then work your way through. Because also we
yeah,
look at times from world champions, it took them 6-7 years to get to that level now where they are.
yeah, and obviously the higher level you go, you're chasing, as opposed to trying to chase 1 minute off your time. You're now, for me, I'm now looking at 30 seconds, 40 seconds off my overall time. And to try and pinpoint that is so difficult. But yeah, it's part of the journey. It's part of the process. It's why you wake up and you train every day. It gives you a purpose, I suppose. So again, another thing is, like, don't put too much pressure on chasing a certain time, or being like so stuck on need to get that time. If you can make improvements in your training week on week in, week out, that'll ultimately, in the bigger picture, probably get you your faster HYROX time, as opposed to just being so fixated on that time. If you can become a better athlete overall, then I think that'll certainly carry into your HYROX performance.
Small steps are better than no steps.
Yeah, that's it.
Liam, thank you so much for your time and everything. I wanted to finish the podcast with a little couple of questions that is super short to answer.
Yeah.
Let's go there, and then I will give you the last word, and then that's it already.
Yeah, brilliant. No problem.
All right, then we're gonna start. First question is pasta or rice?
Rice.
Taper week or no taper week?
No taper week.
Running or lifting?
Running.
Doubles or solo?
Doubles.
If you could pick any athlete from any sport or any person, who would that be to run a doubles?
Lionel Messi.
Best venue to race?
Oh, ever for me?
Yep.
Good question. London Excel.
And who is your role model to whom you look up?
In HYROX, or
Yeah, HYROX or general in sports.
I really like Alexander Ronkovic.
All right. Yeah, that's it. As I said, Liam, the last words go to you. Also, you are active on Instagram. I don't know if you're offering coaching and things like this. So,
Yeah. So you'll find my Instagram. It's just Liam McCroray. I think, or Liam McCroray 96. So yeah, I do like one-to-one coaching as well online. If anyone's interested in that. But yeah, that's pretty much where I'm most active, is on Instagram. I don't really do any other form of social media. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to be on the podcast and really getting insightful into things that I absolutely love talking about, and yeah, training, HYROX, all that kind of stuff. So that's a pleasure.
thank you so much for your time, and all the best to you.
Yeah, thanks, mate.